Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna Coles, and this morning we're visiting with Dr. Sam McNeil. He's with the University of Kentucky Biosystems and Ag Engineering. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
Well, Sam, I'm glad you're here today because you're going to talk about something that's super timely right now, and that's the things that we need to be doing to grain storage. Some of our farmers are really close to shelling if they haven't started already, but there's some things that we need to do beforehand.
Yeah, there are several things, and there's actually in the past we've worked up what we call a pre-harvest chore list, I guess you'd say. But it's a lot of things people will, you sit down and think about it. There are some things that you can do to help position yourself to help preserve the quality of the crop after it's harvested, and that's really kind of what we want to focus on today.
And a lot of times we're really busy, and sometimes we might ignore these things, these steps, but it'll pay off in the long run.
Well, that's the point, and I think there's some farmers in the Bowling Green area in Warren County, but nearby that actually had I know a couple of loads rejected this summer, and they were taken to the elevators and they had insects in the crop. So that was kind of normally we won't hold grain that long in Kentucky, but when we do, we want to be sure we do it right. And part of the first steps of it is getting the equipment ready for harvest. A lot of energy needs to be spent in tweaking and fine-tuning the combine, getting it ready. And there's a lot of help for that kind of chore. You can work with your dealers; they'll come out and help you set it up. Of course, the operator's manual is a really good place to start with that chore. And but what I'd really like to talk about is getting the equipment itself on the farm, so the bins, the dryer, the handling equipment. And that really needs to get a good cleaning before we start harvest. We have an acronym that are used fairly widely among engineers across the country called SLAM. It stands for Sanitation, Loading, Aeration, and Monitoring. And it kind of sums up the steps that you want to think through as you look at how you're going to manage the crop during storage. So the first piece, of course, is sanitation, and now's the time to pay attention to that and get the bins cleaned out. Get in there with not just a broom and a dustpan or some trash can to haul out the debris that's in the bin. But also, I like to use a shop vac, wet dry vac, to get the fine material out away from the cracks and crevices where those fine material can lodge in a bin and where insects can hide. So that's one chore that needs to be done, and hopefully we'll have some little cooler weather where it won't be so hot, or you start in the morning, late evening, whatever, to try to make it a little more comfortable. But as we're loading the bin, you don't want to overfill the bin. That's going to interfere with your aeration system and perhaps your drying system and the airflow, the movement of air through the bin. And then, so there's obviously I think most folks are accustomed to coring the bin after it's been filled, and that's just a matter of removing the fine material that can tend to accumulate in the center of the bin. And if it does that, then it's going to impede the airflow and not give you uniform air movement through the bin. And it's going to impact the next piece, which is aeration. And we want to generally run 3 cycles of cool air through the bin in the fall after it's been dried well. And that, so that, we can talk a little bit more about the moisture levels, but in the aeration piece, you generally want to aerate it as early as September to get it down from 70, say, to 60 degrees, and then another 10-degree drop in October, and then again November, and then on into December, and cool that grain out to about 35 degrees and hold it through the winter. And then generally we're in good shape to where most of the grain is sold in first of the year for 2021. And the last piece there is monitoring. We want to be sure that if folks need to or have had problems in the past, they want to install some monitoring equipment in the bins, now's the time to do that before they're filled with grain, of course. And so if you're looking at temperature cables or aeration control systems, those kinds of things, I'll share a list here of some of the vendors that deal with that equipment, and have checked those websites. They're all up and running and viable links.
Yeah, if people want more information, you actually did a presentation and they could go to that link to find out more information about pre-harvest techniques to make sure that you're keeping your grain safe.
That's right.
If you have questions about anything that we talked about today, make sure to contact your local extension office. Thanks for watching and have a great day.